Oh, yes. We are back. Podcast 12, DeepWaterMMA.com. I'm your host, Dan Kennard, here with the connoisseur, Cale Loveridge.
That was the best intro yet.
Best intro yet?
For sure.
Tell the people who it is.
A little
So,
Motorhead
in case they
for
want
you.
to look it up. A little Motorhead.
A little overkill.
Little Motorhead.
A little overkill on the Motorhead.
So we're back here this weekend, this Saturday, after a couple of refreshing weeks off, you know, with no UFC, nothing to think about.
Weird.
Kind of a weird, like a dead spot in the summer, but...
with all the fighters they got, you think they could just have one every week for us?
Yeah, they
You
should.
know?
Maybe that's the long-term direction, like a
really-
fight night every weekend or something.
I don't see what Dana's problem is, personally.
Yeah, come on, Dan.
I think he's trying to pick
we
something.
got to get him on the show and ask him about these questions.
Okay. I'll text him.
But yeah, I think I took these last week or two with no events, just kind of space out a little bit from the UFC,
Honestly, like
MMA in general. Just kind of get my head straight again, you know, for this because this is the beginning of a run of events.
Yeah,
there's like
big time.
6 events in the next 7 weeks or something
It's
like
awesome.
that. It's tons of stuff. So we'll be bringing you the podcasts pretty much every week from here until into September. I hope we're ready for that.
Sweet.
You ready for that, Cale?
Oh yeah.
All right. So this weekend, coming up, Saturday night, UFC on Fox 8, live and free, headlined by a flyweight title fight between Demetrious Johnson and John Moraga, which we'll get to in a minute here.
Actually, I'm gonna change it. I'm not ready.
You're not ready?
No, I'm not ready.
All right. Uh-oh. What about the We,
It's too much.
we'll always be ready.
It's too much.
Here at Deepwater MMA, we're always ready, right? We've always
You know,
got content
it was
for you.
really weird though. Like, I kept thinking the last couple of weeks, like, oh God, what fights? You know, what fight did I miss? Or something.
Yeah.
You know, you're so used to these UFCs by now.
Yeah, they've been coming fast and regular for a while now, but
And now we're getting back into it.
it's been about 3 weeks,
So,
right? Last
yeah.
one was UFC 162, the Anderson Silva loss. We covered that already in a previous podcast, so we're gonna move on.
Did you see Anderson like crying? Have you
I
seen
heard,
that video?
yes, I have not seen it, but I heard he cried on Brazilian television,
National Brazilian
national
TV.
television in Brazil.
Because they think that he lost the fight on purpose.
Yeah.
It was a fixed fight, which is retarded.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how do you interpret him crying?
I think they just can't accept the fact that this dude, you know, who relatively unknown to at least the people in Brazil.
It's got to be unknown.
Yeah, right? I mean, who
Yeah.
the hell's Chris Weidman? That's what they're saying.
Yeah.
He's going to beat Anderson Silva.
Right.
I mean, it's pretty weird.
Yeah, I think
They're in and they're fully thinking it's a fixed fight.
Yeah.
And they're like, everyone's talking shit about him over there.
Yeah.
And the guy cries, you know, on national TV.
I think him crying shows that he's... I think that's, for me, I'm kind of looking at that as like a positive, actually.
Oh,
That
really?
he takes it seriously, that he took his loss seriously, even though he didn't seem to right after he lost. You know, he sort of declined a rematch, he was saying weird things, but I feel like the fact that he's crying and some of these other things that he's said since then kind of show that he's kind of serious about a comeback here. And that he's starting to feel the embarrassment, maybe, of what happened.
I would
You know?
expect him to cry, though, because he used to come out and do a Michael Jackson dance.
Yeah.
And Pride, you know? And anybody, I think, who can do a great Michael Jackson dance, you know, every once in a while has a nice cry.
Probably just has a nice cry
A
sometimes.
nice cry
Yeah.
sometimes.
If you're spending your time practicing a
Michael
Michael Jackson dance at all,
You might cry a little bit.
that might be a clue that you maybe cry sometimes.
He
Which
did
is, there's nothing wrong with crying. I don't
I'm not talking shit. He did a
Right.
great job, too.
Yeah.
He killed it.
Yeah.
He can moonwalk way better than I can. And I got a mean fucking moonwalk.
Yeah. If you ever get to meet Cale, ask him
my
about the
God,
moonwalk.
son.
It's mean. Yeah. So a couple highlights here before we get to the card. Just to remind all of the listeners, all of our faithful, we have dozens maybe.
Millions.
At least 3 dozen regular listeners.
Oh, that was too high.
Right? Million.
Thousands of people. That's too high, too.
Still too high.
Sorry.
Eventually, though, right?
No, I think big. I dream big. Dan.
Yeah, we all
I'm
dream
a dreamer.
big.
I'm a dreamer.
But I just want to remind everybody that our best bet is free. It's free.
Free 99.
There are places that will make you pay money for their bets. We are not one of those places, at least not yet. So take advantage of this stuff now.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I just want to remind everybody, our best bet is free. And after UFC 162, it has moved to an all-time 10-2 record.
10-2. Dude.
10-2.
That's kind of killing it.
Yeah.
You know?
I hope people are listening. So that was back since we started in February. Right, we've gone 10-2. Our last one was Norman Park over Tukadome. It was pretty good odds. It was like -160, a close fight, but we were all over that one, and Park came through for us. I want to also say we have a Parlez-Vous column, cleverly named.
Whoa,
I would say.
Easy.
Cleverly named, right? And I wrote the Parlez-Vous column for the last event in the absence of Sam Maxwell, and I suggested a base parlay of Mike Pierce, Edson Barbosa, and Frankie Edgar. You know, if you're going to parlay some people together. Those guys were all three huge favorites. All three of them won. That paid out at 59 cents on the dollar, so not quite even, but that worked out well. And if you paired that with maybe one or two other fighters, you probably made a little bit of money on some parlays. So
you should parlay the big favorites like that. That's the only way you're actually going to make any money.
Yeah, if they're -500 or something, you know. Generally, those are pretty good. They're pretty safe bets. You know, it's not often that a fighter who's favored by that much loses.
That's
right?
a good
pretty
parlay.
Rare thing.
That was a good parlay.
Yeah, so we'll come back to that a little bit here today, I guess, right? Because some of these matchups on the main card are a little lopsided, and they might not be quite the same situation as like a Mike Pierce, Edson Barbosa, Frankie Edgar type thing.
I think next time you say Parlez-Vous, though, you have to do it in a French accent.
Parlez-Vous?
Because it wouldn't be proper.
Yeah, that's a good one. Parlez-Vous.
Parlez-Vous.
Yeah, so we'll be bringing back the Parlez-Vous column again for this card.
I took French in high school.
How was that?
I don't know shit.
I don't remember any of it. Yeah.
I remember the teacher's name, Mr. Levesque.
That's good.
He was from Canada, and he used to cuss, and he's like, "Holy shit."
While he smoked a skinny cigarette.
Yeah, I was like, dude, was that a joint? And he's like,
class,
it's a cigarette.
It's a cigarette. We have not decided on a best bet yet. We've been for this UFC on Fox card. I think we'll get to that. I think we'll talk that out a little bit. No best bet decided yet.
Wow. That's big.
We're running the numbers. You know,
I don't know if I like this.
We're cranking, pulleys and running systems and programs, and we can't.
We discussed
we
this
haven't
last
settled
time.
on anything yet with this one. It's a tricky card. I would start up front with that. Be careful with this one. It feels tricky to me.
And I'm bleeding out of nowhere.
Oh, whoa!
That's totally off the cuff.
Off the cuff. So yeah, no best bet yet. We've been emailing with Kelly Miller, who usually does the best bets. Who also, I will add, went 5-0 on his last main card picks, including the upset of Anderson Silva.
Sweet.
But some underdog potential on this.
He called that, huh?
He called it. He called Chris Weidman.
Man, I tell you, dude, the guy's got a little bit of skill in him.
He's got it going on. Yeah.
He should start a website.
Yeah, he should start his own website. Just branch off, start his own website. Not so fast, Kelly. But yeah, so we're still deciding on the best bet. So maybe check back to the website, DeepWaterMMA.com, a little bit later this week, and we might figure something out. Might not be a fighter this time. Might be a situational bet, as far as like a distance or not a distance, that kind of thing. So we're working it out. We're trying to find something good for everybody out there.
Interesting.
So we'll try to move to 11-2.
We will.
We will move to we will move to 11-2.
I'm going to guarantee it, Kelly.
Guaranteed, but with an asterisk, just to cover ourselves,
case.
right?
Like Barry Bonds' home run record.
Yeah, exactly. So UFC on Fox 8, free card.
8 of them.
Time on Fox now. Yeah, it's been about a year and a half, 2 years now. Yeah. Fox cards,
and a second time in a row for Demetrious.
Yes.
Mighty Mouse Johnson headlining.
Yeah, that's true. He's become the
he's the Fox boy.
He's the Fox guy. He's the guy on Fox who headlines the fights lately. So Demetrious Johnson squaring off in a flyweight title fight. These guys are 125 pounds.
Jesus.
I think that's the weight of one of my legs. I'm not sure.
I think I ate a turkey leg at the fair one time.
A turkey. So, I think from my waist up, I'm 125 pounds. But we have full human beings here. 125 pounds. Demetrious Mighty Mouse Johnson, a pretty big favorite here in his title fight. He's the champion.
Full human beings.
Fully formed humans here, despite 125 pounds. Demetrious Johnson is -400. He is a pretty big favorite in this fight. He's 17-2-1.
Yeah.
He's taken on John Moraga, who is a pretty big underdog at plus 389.
Makes sense.
Who is 13-1. So he's only got one loss on his record.
He's a good fighter.
Yeah, good fighter. I think one of the things to start with I feel like Demetrious Johnson's finally found his weight division, because for a while he was fighting in 135, 145, before they had this flyweight division. Demetrious Johnson was fighting dudes like Dominic Cruz and taking them to taking them 5 rounds. So how do you feel about that? Do you feel like Demetrious Johnson settled in as the flyweight champion, kind of the man to beat in the flyweight division?
I see.
Has he separated himself enough?
I see what he's been getting better and better with each fight. The only time that you ever saw kind of like a hiccup really was when he was facing a bigger opponent and against Ian McCall a little bit. I thought McCall won that fight.
The first one?
It was a draw though. Yeah, the first one.
Yeah.
I mean, he came back and won the second one, so no matter what, it doesn't matter. But yeah, like you said, I think he's found his groove, and I think he's getting better. And he fights under Matt Hume, who is an awesome trainer, but doesn't train a ton of guys,
Yeah.
And he's very selective about who he trains and stuff. But
that's a good point, actually.
John Moraga was the opening bout. He's 2-0 in the UFC.
Yeah.
He was the opening bout of the night for the past his 2 UFC wins.
Yeah.
He was the opening bout, and now he headlines the card.
Yeah. He really
you go
is.
from the first fight.
Yeah.
To come out, nobody's sitting in the stands, and they really, no disrespect, they don't really care about your fight too much. The first fight of the night, especially if, I haven't heard of John Moraga before he was in the UFC that much. If you look at who he fought, I looked at who he fought, and I didn't even write anybody down to say anything about because I didn't recognize any names. Actually, he lost to
John Dodson.
Here we go. He lost to John Dodson.
Yeah,
exactly.
which is
That's
his
the only
loss.
thing that
By unanimous decision. So he went the distance with John Dodson.
I see Demetrious just being too quick and stuff, and what was the last stat that Demetrious Johnson has taken down before Demetrious Johnson fought John Dodson? No one took him down. Demetrious Johnson took him down 3 times.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
No one had taken him down in the UFC.
Wow.
So
that's an interesting little statistic there.
That just shows you how tough Demetrious Johnson really is. He's quick, he's fast, and I think he's going to be too much for this.
Yeah, and that's a good point. He's always been tough. He's until they started this flyweight division, he was fighting out of his weight class. The way kind of the way Frankie Edgar was doing it in the lightweight division. He's and Demetrious Johnson at one point might have even been a lightweight. I don't know. I mean, he was. Every time they offered a lower division, he would fall back down into it. Right? He would just keep falling down into the smallest ones. But yeah, he's 26 years old, which is actually surprising to me. He feels like he's 30 to me.
Yeah.
Like if I guessed, I would say he's 30.
Well, it's probably because of his mangled ears.
Yeah, his. I heard he can fly with those ears.
Oh man,
I heard he has muscle control of those ears.
Mangled, man. I feel bad for the guy.
But yeah, he's 3-0-1 in the flyweight division so far. He hasn't lost. That one draw was to Ian McCall in a super close fight out in Australia. He lost to Dominic Cruz at bantamweight before that, and all 3 of his wins so far have been by decision. So that's something to think about if you're betting. All 3 have gone to decision. He's hard to finish too, so that could be something to look into if you're not so confident in Demetrious Johnson, right? Because of the odds, -400, he's a pretty big favorite. Do you feel like those odds are good odds, or should they be higher or lower? No, $400 wins you $100 if you bet on Demetrious Johnson. That seems like...
I think the thing is, at least with my thinking, I think he is a pretty good lock to win this fight out of what he's shown in his past couple fights. He's probably going to be a little bit too quick and a little too fast for this guy, and do what he does. He's going to win 5 rounds.
Yeah.
He'll probably win all 5 rounds.
Yeah.
At least 4 out of 5 or something,
Right.
And I could just see him being a little bit too much for this guy at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on that. I haven't seen a lot of John Moraga, and I do watch the Facebook prelims, which I think is where he's been fighting mostly, right?
Yes.
I watch those, but it's the first fight of the night, and then you watch 11 more fights after that, and you kind of forget like
it's
what
hard
you
to
saw
remember
in
all
the first
those
fight,
fights,
unless something really jumps out.
But I mean, he finished his 2 guys. That's why he's getting this title shot. He finished Ulysses Gomez and Chris Carrizo.
Yeah, which is according to the flyweight rankings, those guys are right up there.
They're 3
top,
and 4
top
or
fivers.
something like that.
And Moraga's finished both of them. He's won 7 straight.
He's not a joker. He's just,
no, not a joke at all.
I think going from the beginning of the card to the main event is going to be tough.
Might be a
and
little
Demetrious
overwhelming.
Johnson's
That's
already
a good
done
point
that
too.
how many times?
Good point. Yep.
He fought for the title at 145. or 35, right? He fought for the top 135.
Yeah, 130. I mean, to get
and 125, he's the champ, so he's already been in this situation. Four times or 3 times or something. So
I think you make a really good point there. Johnson, almost like a sort of, even though he's only 26 and he's younger than Moraga, he's almost kind of like more experienced in certain ways. You know, especially maybe with the hype of fighting on a UFC Fox card. So, you know, you have to consider all these different angles when you're putting
Fox
stuff
TV.
down.
Millions of people watch Fox.
Yeah.
People in the Midwest are going, oh, we're not fighting on UFC tonight or Fox tonight.
Yeah.
You know, people in Oklahoma get Fox. People in every single state
gets Fox.
Fox.
Yeah. If you have basic cable, you get
Fox.
Right? Like $10 a month cable gets you Fox.
I think if you have if you put some tinfoil up and stuff and stick it in your TV,
get Fox.
you get Fox.
Yeah, you get Fox. Yeah.
So everyone's watching this.
Yeah, enough static electricity in your clothing can generate Fox.
My girlfriend doesn't know yet, but we're watching this. Everyone.
There we go. There you go. Well, now she knows.
Oh, whoops.
Now she knows. She's
that.
grimacing
in
the kitchen. But so this should be a good fight. I think the odds for me, I think everybody knows Demetrious Johnson more than they know John Moraga, so I think that's edging it up a little bit. I think Johnson is a rightful favorite, but I think John Moraga is going to give him a fight. You know, I think it will go the distance. I don't think Demetrious Johnson will be finished. Moraga's a finisher, but I don't think, like you said, I think Johnson will be too quick. Maybe not be able to. You know, Moraga maybe won't be able to get his hands on him the way he did with the other guys, and I think it might just turn into a decision win for Johnson. That's kind of how I'm leaning on this one.
Yeah,
this is one of the few. Actually, I'll preface this now. This is one of the few fights where I'm actually sort of siding with the favorite.
I don't even know. I'm not even gonna lie. I don't even know how much I'll watch of that fight. If I see that
the main event
is like kind of controlling the fight,
just kind of dancing around doing.
Yeah, I'm not.
I mean, he's Johnson is like a borderline Frankie Edgar type, you know, in the way that he's quicker than most people and he's hard to get a hold of, and therefore he sort of seems to win rounds. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it sounds like we're both going with Demetrious Johnson there. Demetrious, you know. Yeah, I'm with you on that, right? I think we might see Moraga again.
He's pretty much fighting in his hometown.
Yeah, that's another
right
thing.
up the block. Yeah, he lives in
Washington.
He's
fighting in Seattle.
I mean,
he's gonna, he'll drive. It's gonna be like
drive
going
a couple hours.
That's
pretty awesome. Yeah. That's way better than taking a plane with a bunch of freaking old people coughing on you and babies crying. Right. And you have to pee, but there's somebody in there.
All that stuff. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just had a little. Therapy moment there.
Apparently that's bothered you before?
That sucks.
So yeah, that's the main event there. We're both going Johnson, although Moraga should put up a good fight. I think it'll be go decision. It should be a good one. I'm hoping for a scrappier fight maybe than usual. I don't know what we'll get though. So Demetrious Johnson, and if you're looking for maybe a situational prop bet kind of thing, maybe
parlay.
Maybe check out the odds on this fight going the distance because it seems likely that that this will go all 5 rounds.
I would bet on that if I bet on anything on this fight, that it's going to go the distance.
Right.
You know? Just
either one way or the other.
Situational bet instead of the win or lose, kind of thing.
Good advice there. Let's see. Next fight down on the card. I think this, for most people who watch the UFC on a regular basis, this is kind of the real main event of this card. Right?
This is an awesome fight.
I'm fucking psyched up about this fight.
Somebody is going to get beat up in this fight.
Yeah.
Like...
we're
gonna figure out who the next person probably fighting for the title is. Yeah,
after the Johnny Hendricks GSP fight, it's probably gonna be the winner of this fight. So if you're out there listening, pay attention. This should be good. At 170 welterweights, Rory MacDonald, the favorite here, minus 227. He's 14-1. He's taking on Jake the Juggernaut Ellenberger, who is a plus 206 underdog.
The Juggernaut.
Who's 29-6. A lot more fights for Jake Ellenberger, which I think is interesting.
Did we say Rory Aries MacDonald?
We didn't. Aries.
Is
that like a Greek
god?
Greek god?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. I love Roy. I think I've said this once on a previous podcast. I once got a haircut because of Rory MacDonald.
Yeah.
Yeah. He is a he's a savvy looking dude. Right?
We called it the MacDonald cut.
Yeah, the black skinny tie and like the slim cut black suit, and I think actually at one point during a press conference or something he was wearing a trench coat, so he's almost like it's like he's like a crime detective or something.
I don't know how much I dig that.
Yeah, I know. You said that before too, I think.
It's a little weird to me. Man.
I am into that. He is weird.
He is like...
Do you know about his personality? Have you seen this dude?
He's like the weird kid in high school who started studying karate. And you like picked a fight with him and he knocked you out or something and you're like... And then he like kicked you in the head when you were down because he's really evil and dark and you didn't know that.
Right,
you know,
right.
That's that kid. He like... Rory MacDonald... I saw a little thing about... That was like UFC Tonight or whatever, and they did this little profile of him, and he was talking about like how he saw one of the first UFCs and was like, "That's what I want to do. I want to be a fighter." When he's like 8 or 10 years old or 12 or something, and he literally like I heard that before, but then to hear him say it, he's been training straight MMA since he was a little kid
for like 12
years. He fought
years.
Carlos Condit when he was 20 years old.
Yeah. And he's only like 23 now.
Or no, he fought Nate Diaz when he was 20 years old. I think he fought Carlos Condit when he was 20 years old too, though.
Yeah. Speaking of that Carlos Condit fight, that's his only loss. He's 14-1. He lost to Carlos Condit. Get this.
In Montreal, right?
In Montreal at 4:53 of the third round. That's when Rory MacDonald won or lost.
He said embarrassed him.
He was embarrassed. He wants that rematch. And apparently, according to people, I don't remember watching this fight, but according to a lot of people who've talked about it, Rory MacDonald was sort of winning that fight.
Oh, no, he whooped his ass.
Like, he won the first 2 rounds
easily.
At least, and he was on his way to a decision, maybe.
And then he got
lost
caught,
at the very end with 7 seconds left to go, which is has got to be agonizing, you know. So, yeah, Rory MacDonald has won 4 in a row. He's beaten Nate Diaz, Mike Pyle, Che Mills, and BJ Penn. Those are his 4 in a row. Jake Ellenberger, on the other hand, he's 4-1 in his last 5, with his only loss to Martin Kampmann. He's won 2 in a row, and before that loss to Kampmann, he had won 6 in a row. So these guys are one of these guys are going to lose, and it's not going to be. Neither one of them will be happy about it. I think we can say to say the least, right? These guys are
so high up there right now, both of them.
Yeah, they are at the top of the mountain, right? And one of these guys is going to slide down a little bit. But what do you make of those? What do you make of those odds? Do they feel right to you? I mean, I have a couple questions. Like, are the odds? Do you feel like the odds makers are overrating MacDonald and underrating Ellenberger, or do they have it right?
I think so, man. I think so. I think this is way more close than they have it. I would say like. If anything, you should maybe be leaning towards Ellenberger's side.
That's kind of how I feel.
You know?
I'm giving away my pick
maybe
earlier.
like minus 115 Ellenberger. Just like, you know what I mean? The slightest edge.
Yeah, and MacDonald even money or something, you know? Like, this should be like, maybe even should be like similar odds, you know? Like
maybe they know
minus
something.
110 each. You
maybe
know?
they know something I don't, because I don't see... I don't know, from the things I've read, too, people are... kind of thinking Rory MacDonald's gonna survive it early and then kind of like take him out later. I don't know if he can get by Ellenberger in the beginning, man. He's
the juggernaut.
He's pretty badass. He knocked Nate Marquardt out quick.
Yeah,
you know, which I thought that was gonna be a tough fight, but man, he took care of him real quick.
Yeah,
and he fought. See, he won 6 in a row and he lost to Kampmann.
Yeah, sort of randomly. Kind of got caught. Fell against the cage. I think I remember. Kampmann kind of swarmed him, and the ref jumped. It was Steve Mazzagatti, so who knows what the hell happened. But I think Kampmann kind of knocked him down and then swarmed him, and the ref stepped in. You know, and then I remember Ellenberger being like, "Dude, you can't stop that fight." Like he was sort of disputing the stoppage.
So he almost, if he would have won that fight, what he would have had?
That's like 9. That would have been 9 in a row in the UFC welterweight division.
He's 8-1 in his last 9 fights.
Yeah, basically.
That's pretty badass. That's a streak right there.
So
and I always talk about the streaks too, and I can't.
Yeah.
I mean, MacDonald's on a streak too, but I feel like Ellenberger's on more of a roll. You know what I mean? He's fought more too recently.
Yeah, that's true.
If you look at know who he's fought recently, he's fought more recently. So
I think another thing too, and maybe in favor of Ellenberger, or maybe to just explain maybe why this is such a good value, is that Ellenberger he's kind of fought bigger names than MacDonald. In the UFC, at least, you know, he's been in there with Kampmann and a bunch. I don't have it in front of me, but a bunch of other guys, Diego Sanchez. You know, there's been a bunch of fights for Jake Ellenberger, and I think he's 29 years old, right? Rory MacDonald's 24, so if he loses this fight, it's not the end of the road for Rory MacDonald. He could come back in 3 more fights, and he could lose this fight and be back in this same position in a year from now. no problem. But I think for Jake Ellenberger, it's a little bit of a different story. I think if he loses this fight, he slides down.
Yeah.
And so maybe there's a little bit more on the line for Jake Ellenberger as a 29-year-old versus being a 24-year-old.
Well, you know that Jake Ellenberger knows that he's, in the bookmakers' eyes,
right.
He's not the favorite. Mm-hmm. He knows that. Like, and so he already knows that it's more of a risk for him. You know what I mean? If he loses, he's going to slide way down because people are already on Rory MacDonald. Oh, he's going to be next champ, next fight. So
Rory MacDonald is kind of a sexy pick. He's a young guy. He's on the way up. You hear a lot of talk about him. He's hyped up. That could be the explanation for these odds. That Rory MacDonald has this sort of potential that if you're tracking his career, right, you expect him from fight to fight to just keep going up, 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 right? And maybe you don't say the same thing about Ellenberger. I'm not sure. But, in the end, I'm not really sure where they're coming from. How do you see this fight going?
I was reading some article. Where I probably won't say his name right. Faris Zahabi, the trainer.
Nailed it, dude.
Bad, yeah.
Nailed it.
But I've heard it a few times. He was disputing this report that MacDonald's growing distance from George St. Pierre, not training with him and stuff like that. Did you see that too? And
I did, yeah.
But it's going to go two ways for me.
Yeah.
Everyone knows Ellenberger is going to come out fast out the gates. By the way, if I ever open a restaurant, I'm going to have an Ellenberger.
Nice.
And what it's going to be white bread and pink in the middle.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. But
just to replicate the experience of watching an Ellenberger fight.
Yeah. No.
White, pink in the middle.
Ellenberger.
The Ellenberger. That's good. I like it.
Anyways,
Yeah.
A little inside joke. He's either going to cut. Everyone knows he comes out strong. He's either going to come out and catch Rory in the first or second round, or Rory MacDonald's going to outlast him because Ellenberger tends to tire out kind of later in the third round and either get a TKO or come from behind victory.
Yeah.
I was reading.
It's a 3-round fight.
Yeah. I was reading about a fighter who fought Rory MacDonald and trained a lot with Jake Ellenberger, and he said Rory MacDonald's ground game is probably better than Ellenberger's ground game, but Ellenberger's a better wrestler, so Rory can't get him to the ground or to submit him, So it's going to be tough. If Ellenberger starts tagging Rory MacDonald, it's going to be tough for MacDonald to take him down.
Yes.
If, Ellenberger can hit him. We'll see how good MacDonald's kickboxing really is, because I think this is by far the best stand-up guy he's fought, or at least with the most power.
The best stand-up guy who's fought?
MacDonald's fought.
MacDonald?
Yeah,
okay.
This is the best guy MacDonald's fought.
Most dangerous, maybe.
Most dangerous, for sure. There you go. The guy who could put him away most easily in his whole career is Jake Ellenberger.
Yeah.
That he's fought. Well, we'll see, but...
So what's your pick on this one? Then I'll break it down my way. It's a fucking toss-up.
It's tough. Man. That being said,
if this is a toss-up, and then you look at the odds, then if you're betting money, it becomes sort of an easier choice. Betting on it.
I kind of want to go with Rory MacDonald, man.
Then do it, man.
It's hard. It's hard to make any kind of pick right now, but
yeah. I see this.
I think
okay,
that
go ahead, finish up.
I think that Rory MacDonald's so motivated, man.
Yeah.
And I really want to pick Ellenberger. Like my heart's telling me, like Ellenberger's gonna hit him and catch him.
Ooh. Your heart's telling you that.
But then my brain's like, no, MacDonald's going to be like, if you pick Ellenberger, MacDonald will win. I feel like...
Do you feel like whoever you pick, you're going to be wrong?
Yes. I feel like whoever I
feel
pick
the same way about this
is going to be wrong.
Yeah. So, I see it kind of the same way you do. I see it kind of going those... Like, I see the tides turning at a certain point if the fight goes to that point. I think Ellenberger's dangerous in the first round and a half. And I think if Rory MacDonald moves well, we didn't talk about his footwork. I think he's got pretty good.
That's what I meant by his stand-up
footwork. He's elusive. He can kind of keep his distance maybe from Ellenberger, who I think is probably shorter. Seems to have those shorter arms, maybe.
We'll really see how good MacDonald's distance and everything and footwork is. You know? I mean, because he's shown really good.
And on the other side of that, Ellenberger, Ellenberger's going to try and cramp him, right? Yeah. He's going to keep pushing him, and he's going to try and
be
close
in his face
the distance,
the whole time.
be in his face, and try to connect with that hook. Ellenberger.
It's free on TV, dude.
It's free on TV. I can't wait. I know. Ellenberger's. I see this going one of two ways too. I think Ellenberger is going to come out very aggressive, right? Like you said, if he starts tagging MacDonald, then things turn maybe in Ellenberger's favor. I don't see MacDonald taking Ellenberger down and being able to do much with it. If anything, I see Ellenberger maybe taking MacDonald down with his wrestling, although he doesn't seem to want to do that much anymore. But I'm going to go with Ellenberger, especially with the odds. If I'm betting money, I'm going Ellenberger.
Guaranteed winner on the
for
podcast.
sure. One of us is right. But I am. I'm obviously not super confident either direction. I feel like you. I feel like whoever I pick, I'm going to be wrong. But
see, I feel like for
betting
reason,
purposes, I think Ellenberger's being underrated, and I think he's worth, regardless of who you think might win, on the chance that Jake Ellenberger wins, which is seems to me like a 50-50 chance.
If I was betting,
you're getting pretty good odds.
If somebody was like, okay,
gun to your head,
$50 though. I mean, I'm not going to pick MacDonald if I'm betting on the fight. Because he's basically, you're gonna have to put down $227
to win $100,
which sucks.
And it's not that
you might as well.
He's not that much better than Ellenberger.
You might as well bet on Ellenberger,
right,
and just hope that he catches him and knocks him out.
Yeah, and I think another thing
too. That's so hard sometimes.
It's so hard. This is a tough card. I feel this is a tough card. I think Ellenberger might win round 1. And then I think it's going to come down to round 2. I think Ellenberger's going to win round 1. I think MacDonald, if he survives till round 3, will probably win round 3. And it's all going to come down to who wins round 2. I think we're going to get a real sticky, kind of weird, sweaty decision here on this one. You know what I mean? But I think if your money's with Ellenberger, it might be a little more worth it.
Or something.
It could be. I don't know. If it goes all the way to the end, But if it ends early, I think Ellenberger ends it.
Yeah. Yeah. TKO.
Yeah. So there we go. Rory MacDonald, Jake Ellenberger. We're torn. We're not sure. Odds-wise, Ellenberger seems like a good value. But working down the card, we have another women's MMA match here. A little fight going on. This might be out of order, too, as far as the way the fights come up on television this Saturday. But we're going to look at this next one. Liz Carmouche at 135 pounds. Liz Carmouche, a huge favorite over Jessica Andrade, who is a 21-year-old from Brazil.
Yep.
Who has won 2 in a row and is making her UFC debut. She's a pretty large underdog at plus 472, but she's 9-2. She actually has a better record than Liz Carmouche.
Yeah.
This is an interesting one for me.
Why? I got no disrespect to the women's MMA thing. Why is this on the main card?
I don't know.
Why is this ahead of Melvin Gillard, Mac Danzig,
right?
Anybody? Jorge Masvidal, Michael Chiesa?
Chiesa or whatever, right? Yeah, that's a good fight. We'll try.
I'm not hating at all on either of these girls, but come on.
The Robbie
Lawler.
Those guys have earned
it. Right. Those guys have earned it.
Is there title implications here?
All Liz Carmouche did, I don't mean to be negative. All she did is come in and lose.
Right.
Like, she fought for a title, okay, but she lost.
Right. She lost. She had that one moment, kind of, where she was on Lucy's back.
And this chick's 21 from Brazil. No one's ever heard of her.
Yeah.
And I just don't get it.
Yeah. Some stats here for the listeners. Carmouche is 29. She's 2-3 in her last 5 fights. So to be 2-3 in your last 5 fights and to be over a 500 favorite, 5-1 favorite, to me seems a little skewed. I don't know about you guys, but
I just think that
she's lost to some top fighters. People, Rousey, Sarah Kaufman, Marlos Kunin. She's lost to them. Those are known commodities in women's MMA. But still, 2-3 in your last 5. I don't think if you're 2-3, you're a top class fighter.
No.
And then across the cage, you have a 21-year-old from Brazil. She's 9-2. She's never won by decision. All of her fights that she's won have been ended. 4 by KO or TKO and 5 by sub. Same thing with Carmouche, actually. Carmouche does not go to a decision very often. So if you don't like the odds here one way or the other, you might place a bet that the fight will not go the distance because neither one of these girls seems to go to scorecards, seemingly ever. Maybe once in their whole careers for either one of them. So that might be a good bet. I don't know the odds on those at this point, but do you have a pick for this? I mean, how do you see this one going? This is
I think Carmouche is gonna beat her up.
You think so?
Yeah, she's tough, man. That chick's like
ex-Marine.
Ex-Marine,
right? Ground and pound.
Ass, dude. She's strong, man. She trains with almost all guys at her San Diego, whatever.
Yeah.
San Diego Athletics, or I forget San Diego.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I think she's gonna kick her ass, basically. Beat her
Okay,
up.
interesting.
How's that for
That's
analyzation?
pretty. Yeah, really. That's just to the point right there.
Just analyze it for you. I think she's too strong of a wrestler. She's gonna clinch up and beat her up and stuff. And I don't think she's gonna get submitted by for a second time. She'll get her first UFC win. I mean, you see the odds makers bet heavy on her, and I would too. I'd say that. Nothing against the 21-year-old, but it's a lot to come over here from Brazil, fighting in the UFC.
Debut.
Carmouche already headlined a UFC event.
Right.
That's pretty big.
Right. She should feel more comfortable.
Way more comfortable.
Yeah. I want to play a little devil's advocate here for a minute. Jessica Andrade has not had a who's who list of opponents.
No.
But she is 9-2. She's only 21. She's still learning, you would assume, right? She's won 2 in a row.
Her nickname translates to pile driver in English.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Pile driver?
Yeah.
That's kind of scary.
I know, right?
So we have these two. I mean, Liz Carmouche, we know she has her ground and pound. You know, she's probably going to look to take the fight to the ground and get on top, beat up Andrade. On the flip side, I think Andrade seems to be a pretty good submission fighter. So I think we'll have one of these fights that either Carmouche wins by ground and pound at some point, catches her, or I think Andrade could maybe, in being on the ground with Carmouche, possibly catch her in a submission later in the fight. Because 2 of Carmouche's 3 total losses have been by submission. So Andrade, I think, is most... If she's going to win, I think Andrade will win by submission, maybe even from the bottom. You know, or maybe like a sweep and then a quick submission kind of situation.
Sweet.
I think for the odds at plus like over 400, she might be worth like $1 or $2, you know, a little flyer money if you got some extra change laying around, like just to put on that. But I think in the end, God, I'm actually more torn on this one than I feel like than you are. But I'm gonna go Liz Carmouche here. Liz Carmouche just as a huge favorite to just pull it out. But I think this fight will be closer than the odds for sure. I think this will definitely be closer. And we might know a little bit more about Andrade after this one when she comes back around and fights again, you know. But again, I think maybe the best bet for this is that the fight will not go the distance. I think one of them will win it within 3 rounds. Either Carmouche by ground and pound or Andrade by like some kind of, you know, tricky submission or something like that. Maybe she'll catch Carmouche in something. But so that might be the best betting opportunity for this fight since the odds are so crazy on this one. But moving down the card, this is the last fight on the main card of Fox. Robbie Lawler and short-term replacement fighter Bobby Volker. Robbie Lawler is the favorite, minus 274.
Who did he replace?
He replaced Sayar Baherdazada.
Oh yeah, Baherdazada. Okay.
And he actually Sayar Baherdazada
replaced somebody else.
Replaced Khabib Nurmagomedov. I'm mangling.
Wow.
Nailed it. That's how you say his name.
Nurmagomedov.
That's about right. So this is the 3rd person that Robbie Lawler's had to get prepared for in his fight camp.
Weird, huh?
Does that affect Robbie Lawler, do you think, or what?
I don't know, because Robbie Lawler pretty much comes out with one game plan. And that's to hit you with his right hand and knock you out, you know?
Yeah, I was going to get to that, too. Yeah, he... I listened to an interview with Robbie Lawler on the Josh Gross podcast. And Lawler... If I was going to analyze Lawler's personality and just kind of the way he was talking about his fight career and stuff like that, Lawler seems a little... He's kind of a brawler. Like you said, he wants to come in and just hit you. He seems to not really fight with much of a game plan.
No.
You know?
He has a game plan.
Which explains...
punch you in your mouth.
Which might explain, like, his weird career.
Did you see
he'll
his
win 2, lose
Yeah,
1,
yeah.
2, win a couple more... It's sort of
He's
random
super
the way he
inconsistent,
does this.
Man. He's super inconsistent.
Very inconsistent.
The only person that's ever stopped him by strikes is Nate Diaz. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
Do you remember
crazy.
that? Do you remember that
I
fight?
don't, but
yeah,
that's way back.
That was
I
Nate
think.
Diaz's first fight, or Nick Diaz's. I'm sorry, Nate. Nick Diaz's first fight in the Octagon back in the day.
Okay, yeah,
that was pretty cool. But I just see Robbie Lawler coming out and making this guy Bobby Volker kind of stand and bang with him because he did that. He had like. Couple people know Bobby Volker probably if you know MMA from he fought Roger Bowling like 3 times in Strikeforce.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, and that was all three of them were pretty good fights. But
Yeah.
So he'll stand and bang and fight. He lost to Patrick Cote in his UFC debut, so
Yep.
I think, and Cote caught him a few times with a couple good right hands. He got rocked, but he's got a good chin. I mean, I just think Lawler, I see Lawler catching him for some reason in my head.
Yeah.
I see Robbie Lawler winning 2 in a row. Because
Okay.
he just beat Josh Koscheck.
Right. Yeah, he is. He's coming off a big
Koscheck has a
upset of
solid
Koscheck.
chin, man.
Yeah. I found an interesting trend with both of these guys that kind of makes this a little more confusing, right? And this card continues to be a little bit sort of mysterious. Robbie Lawler has not won back-to-back fights since 2008.
That's crazy.
He hasn't won back-to-back fights since 2008.
That's nuts.
Across the cage, Bobby Volker has never lost back-to-back fights in his entire career. So Lawler's coming off a win, which historically means he might lose this fight. Volker coming off of a loss
Has never
in his entire career. Maybe he'll win this fight if the trends continue that way. So I don't really know what to do with this one. Both guys are veterans. They both fought over 30 fights. It's a tough one for me to pick. The odds are close. I don't know if we said it, but Robbie Lawler minus 274, so almost a 3-1 favorite. Bobby Volker on the other side plus 246, almost a 2.5 to 1 underdog. 15 of Volker's 24 wins have been by KO, TKO, and he's only been knocked out once. So, and same kind of thing with
Bobby
Lawler.
Volker's a tough dude, man.
Yeah, he's tough. I think people, you hear Bobby Volker, like, who?
Yeah.
What? I don't know who that
the
is.
fuck is that?
But I think maybe we should maybe be a little cautious
That's
about Bobby Volker.
Volker, dude.
It's Bobby effing Volker, dude. We need to remember that.
He's tough. Like, I remember that fight with Patrick Cote because I remember, like, who's this dude he's fighting? But he kept taking shots from Cote. Cote landed a few good right hands on him, and Cote's got, he's knocked people out.
Cote hits hard too, right? So this is a tough one for me. I mean, Robbie Lawler's 4-4 since 2010. He's kind of, like we said, he's up and down. He's inconsistent. 17 of his 20 wins are by KO and TKO, which shows you like where his priorities are as a fighter. Just exactly what you said. He comes
out to punch you in the mouth.
He's almost like a Chris Lieben type to me, except in a sort of lower weight class.
It's like the old school Militich kind of like guys, man. He's still around. I think he's the only one left out of the old school Militich
He is.
guys.
Yeah, you're right about that.
And he still fights the same way, and. I mean, he's knocked out some big names. I mean, he's knocked out Melvin Manhoff. I mean, he can just keep going. He's knocked out a bunch of dudes.
Yeah. So you're going Lawler by what?
I just
KO,
think Volker.
TKO?
I think Volker's gonna try to take him down a few times. Lawler probably get took down, and eventually, because if you remember the Koscheck fight, Koscheck laid on Lawler the whole beginning of the first round. And right at the end of the first round, Lawler caught him. I don't exactly remember how, but it was like he was ducked his head down, and Lawler caught him, and I could see almost
stumbled him and then chased him down.
Yep, I could see almost like the same thing happening.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm actually I'm going out on a limb here. I'm going to go with Volker.
Limit.
I think I'm basing my pick on those trends. I'm basing my pick on the interview I heard with Robbie Lawler. He sounds he doesn't reflect.
Am I going to win or lose?
He doesn't reflect on his career. He doesn't even think about it. He's just like, I'm just trying to knock a dude out. And that's great. Like, I love to watch that, but I think if I'm picking and I'm trying to win money on this stuff, I don't have a ton of confidence in Robbie Lawler to win his first back-to-back victories in 5 years. I just don't think... So my pick is based on trends more than other things, and I think these fighters are maybe a little more similar than people are realizing. I think Volker is, like you said with Cote, willing to stand and bang a little bit, and might have the chin to hang in there long enough with Lawler and get the win. So I'm going Volker. I'm going out on a limb there with Volker. So who's another underdog, and this card just continues to kind of confound me with these underdogs and favorites. I feel like there's some really great value on this main card if things shake out that way, right? I mean, you could easily have all four favorites win on the main card, right? It could be a piece of cake, or you could have like 3 underdogs, or even all 4 underdogs win. So so I would say be careful with the main card on this one. Don't overinvest too much because these are sort of these are tough fights, tougher than the odds maybe on some of these.
Yes.
The undercard is on FX.
I'm just agreeing with I just agree with everything you just said.
You agree, or
no? I agree.
You agree?
I'm sorry. That sounded like disagree.
Yeah.
I just agree with everything you said.
Yeah, great.
I back you up.
So a couple different picks, but I mean, we're a little bit like on the fence, you know.
Not so much our picks,
but the value, the betting value.
See?
Right.
That's where it hits home, Dan.
That's where it comes to roost.
That's why I like you, buddy.
Yeah.
Roost, huh? Ooh, I like that.
I had a couple notes on the undercard. I don't know if there's anything in particular that you want to discuss
real quick.
Fast. We'll call this the quick hits portion of the show.
Quick hits.
For me, it's...
See, cheap sound effects.
That was good.
Sorry.
Cheap sound. We're on a budget here. DeepWaterMMA.
$0.
Yeah, quick hits. I have 3 lightweight fights on the that I'm kind of keeping an eye on here. Melvin Gillard and Mac Danzig.
Should be a good fight.
The odds are like the same. It doesn't even really matter at this point. You know, a couple points either way there. One of these guys is getting cut after this fight. I'm saying, I'm calling it out right now. Whoever loses this fight is out of the UFC.
Wow.
I looked some stuff up. Melvin Gillard's 1-4 in his last 5. Meanwhile, Mac Danzig 4-6 in the UFC since 2008.
Yeah, he wins them and loses them, win one, lose one.
He's all over the place. Yeah. So, how do you see this one going?
You know,
what do you think
I don't really have a winner or a loser, but I like to analyze the fight sometimes. Unless Mac Danzig can out-wrestle and submit Melvin Gillard, because Melvin Gillard doesn't have great jiu-jitsu.
9 of 12 Melvin Gillard losses have been by submission.
He gets submitted.
He clearly needs to practice.
Yeah, and Mac Danzig has a good submission game.
10 of his 21 wins are by submission.
See, I don't have these notes, but I know these things.
Yeah, you just know it in
my
your heart.
head.
In your heart and your head.
But I could see it going 2 ways. I really could. That's why MMA is so hard sometimes.
It's nuts.
If Melvin Gillard can catch Mac Danzig, which he can because he's awesome and he's
super fast.
Oh, yeah. And he's
lightning hands.
And he's changed camps.
Yeah.
So maybe he's revitalized. It's hard to say, you know.
Yeah.
Either Mac Danzig's going to get him to the ground and submit him or TKO him, or Melvin Gillard's going to catch him with a head kick or an elbow or something crazy.
Yeah.
Or, so if I had to pick, I would say Mac Danzig by a unanimous decision.
Okay.
He should be able to wrestle Melvin Gillard to the ground, and he has stand-up.
Yeah.
A good enough stand-up game to hang with him, and not...
At least avoid the knockout.
Yeah, at least... and not get KO'd,
Not get obliterated by Melvin Gillard.
But hey, man, if he does, I wouldn't be surprised.
I know. Yeah, I totally agree with everything you just said. I'm leaning a little bit towards Gillard. That's sort of like personal bias for me. I've never really liked Mac Danzig. I think he's kind of boring, and I think Gillard is going to come out and catch him early in the fight and maybe just knock him down, TKO him. But if that doesn't happen, I think Gillard will fade a little bit, and Danzig maybe will win some rounds and maybe win a decision, like you said. So that might be a stay-away fight. I mean, even though the odds are super close, you're kind of flipping a coin on that one.
Yeah, flip a coin.
But the next one down here.
This is a cool fight.
I'm into this one.
Yeah.
This is the. I think this is the FX headliner.
Jorge Masvidal's a badass too, man.
Jorge Masvidal, minus 274, so almost a 3-1 favorite here over undefeated Michael Chiesa, who's 9-0.
Sick beard.
Brutally sick beard.
Sick beard.
Yeah,
dude.
sick beard.
His nickname should be Sick Beard.
He looks like he's in like a 10-person hippie band.
That guy's got an awesome beard. I want my beard
he's got.
Yes, he looks like he's the lead singer of the 10-person hippie band.
Yeah, he plays triangle like with a bunch of other dudes.
Exactly.
Like in a weird
and the tambourine somehow at the same time.
Yeah. So Masvidal, 4-1 in his last 5. His only loss in those last 5 was to Gilbert Melendez by unanimous decision, which is nothing to be ashamed of.
No.
He beat Tim Means
before Melendez
in his last fight.
Before Melendez lost to Henderson, everyone lost to Melendez by unanimous decision.
Yeah, pretty much, right. There's an interesting trend here too. Actually, there's some weird trends with this one. Masvidal, his last 8 fights have gone to decision.
Yeah.
8 in a row of his fights have gone to a decision. And he's won 5 of them, luckily, but I feel like he could have easily lost 5 of them. If you're going to decision 8 times in a row, you're leaving things out of your control a little too much for comfort.
I feel like, besides the Ellenberger Rory MacDonald fight, this was the hardest one to pick, man. This is hard because we're going to see, actually, we know how good Masvidal is. He's a high-level striker, and he's got good takedown defense, and he can bang with anybody, but we'll see what Chesna's all about.
Yeah, this
we really will,
Chiesa, maybe.
For real. I don't know how to say his name. Chesa, I don't know.
Chiesa. That's how I go with it.
Beard dude.
The bearded guy. He's 25, he's undefeated.
I have a beard right now.
You're a streak guy.
So, And plus, and I'm a street guy, so it's like, I feel like Chesia is going to pull out the upset.
I think so too.
He's going to pull it off. He's going to out-wrestle Masvidal.
Yeah, I think he gets Masvidal to the ground at some point, and that's where he wins. He's 9-0. He's 25 years old. 7 of his 9 career wins have been by submission. The other 2 are by decision, so he can go the distance and win. And another interesting Ronda Rousey trend here. Chiesa's won his last 5 fights by rear naked choke, 5 in a row.
Oh, he's got a Rousey.
He's got like a Rousey streak. Yeah. He's won 5 straight fights by rear naked choke.
He's going to rear naked choke Masvidal. I'm calling
So if you're looking for a bet, Chiesa by rear naked choke.
He's going to rear naked choke. He's going to
round 2 or 3.
He's going to get caught a bunch, and it's going to be like sloppy, bloody, and then he's going to choke him. It's going to be sick.
Yeah, it'll be great.
I just looked into my crystal ball.
There you go. I'm going Chiesa too. I think Masvidal might be a little overrated. But I think Chiesa, almost like a Jake Shields from 5 years ago type thing, he might just stick to Masvidal. He might just stick to him. Masvidal might not be able to get him off his back, and then eventually he'll get him under the neck and stuff.
We'll talk about that another time. Sorry.
Yeah, that'll be another podcast.
I'm thinking out loud.
But I'm going Chiesa, which is another huge underdog.
Awesome.
So tons of underdog potential. Finally, we agree on something. We've agreed on a couple of these. The last one I have is Tim Means and Danny Last Call Castillo. I like his
who no longer drinks.
Really?
Yes.
Good for him.
He's no longer last call.
He's Danny Castillo's the favorite at -200.
He'll win.
You going with that?
That's
Danny
all.
Castillo?
That's all I'm going to say.
It's a tough one.
I'll say a little bit more. Okay. He'll win because he trains with Alpha Male. Alpha Male's on a streak.
Ooh.
They have Dwayne Ludwig. Dwayne Ludwig.
Dwayne's
awesome.
Bang Ludwig.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
And Danny Castillo win.
I like it.
Tim Means has already lost in UFC once. He'll lose again.
Okay. I think...
Suck it, Means. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, dude.
You're going to have to face that comment when we get Means on the show.
You're awesome.
Yeah.
I take everything back.
I'm taking Castillo, too. I think he's more well-rounded. Means is a tough fighter. He lost to Masvidal in his last fight, but he won 9 straight before that, but against dudes that I haven't really heard of before.
No.
And I've heard of almost everybody.
Me too.
So
I pretty much know everybody.
That's kind of a problem for Tim Means, you know? He likes to stand up and fight, I think Tim Means does, but I think you're right. I think that's a great point. Danny Castillo, Team Alpha Male, those dudes are sort of reaching another level lately in the last year since Dwayne Ludwig's taken over. And if you take Danny Castillo, who seems to be able to win any way he wants, 6 wins by sub, 5 by KO, and 4 by decision, you know, he just seems more well-rounded and seems like a pretty safe favorite.
I used to watch Danny Castillo fight in the WEC.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I saw him fight Anthony Pettis. I saw...
He's had maybe a more storied, notable career.
He's a tough dude,
man.
Super tough dude. He's going to win. He's getting better and better. All those guys are getting better with
Ludwig. Yeah, so maybe Danny Castillo, -200, maybe one of the better, maybe one of the safer favorites on this card. But in summary, I think, as we wind this down... In conclusion, right, I think for me, personally, from a betting perspective, I think there's a lot of good underdog plays here. I don't feel comfortable with many of these favorites. You know, even Demetrious Johnson to some degree, and Liz Carmouche to some degree. I don't feel totally comfortable with them as super huge favorites. I like a lot of these underdogs. Who knows? Who knows what could happen? All the favorites might win. That's, you know. Anything else to say here as we shut down?
No, man.
DeepWaterMMA
I feel
Podcast
confident.
12.
I'm confident in my picks.
All right. Nice. Well,
and I can't wait to hear the. Oh God, I'm going blank. Best bet. Sorry. The best bet. Yeah, check the website again for the best bet later this week. We'll have something up unless we pass on it, which hopefully you can appreciate as sort of a point of integrity, right? Yeah. We're not just going to give you anything if we don't feel confident in it. So if we do, if we feel confident in something or we find a little gap, we'll post that on the website. But otherwise, we'll be back next week, I think, with a recap of this card and a look ahead to maybe the next card. There's a lot of stuff coming at us these next few weeks. Next couple weeks, keep listening. So stick with DeepWaterMMA.com for all the latest insight, updates, and epiphanies in the MMA UFC world. And it's pouring out and my windows are down, so peace! Peace!